Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Journey to Purpose. With me today, I have the fabulous Erin Summ. She is a transformation and confidence coach. Erin, hello, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
First, super easy question is where in the world are you currently?
Yeah, I'm near Sacramento, California.
Nice, nice. Hopefully, nicer weather than we have over here, which is rain and grey and misery.
So far, and right now it's sunny. So yeah,
Good. I am very, very envious, but I hope it stays that way.
yeah.
So, confidence and transformational coaching, how did you get into that? Has it been something you've always done, or is it something you came to?
Yeah. So, little background about me. I am a confidence coach now, but I actually used to be really shy. Some people described me as painfully shy,
Uh-huh.
especially as a kid. Once I warmed up, I was okay, but there was a lot of times where I was just like, I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to, definitely not speak in front of the room. Like I hated it. I hated, when I was in school and stuff, like doing presentations and stuff, I would be nervous for days. But even as a kid, I always knew I wanted to do something for the world. Like I wanted to help. I've always been a helper. And so I always did things like I had a branch of a club called the Kids for Saving Earth Club. And I would have meetings at my
Oh,
house and we would do things to help, help the environment, or I would teach them things. And just different things like that. Throughout my whole life, I was a helper. So when I went to school, I got a psychology degree, but I didn't know what I was wanted to do with that at the time. I just was like, I don't really want to get a master, go back to school for a master's. I didn't really want to be a therapist and, listen to problems all day. I felt like it would be maybe a little depressing. um, so after college, I went to work at a group home with foster kids. And I did that for 4 years. I loved it. I loved the kids. But it was also really stressful. It was a lower level, like the lowest level you can be. So the kids were fairly well behaved, but they also had a lot of issues too, and so it was really stressful. And after 4 years, I had totally burnt out and I was like, what am I going to do? So in the meantime, while I was doing that job, I had gone to some in-home parties for women. And they were actually passion parties. So, things that romance enhancers, lotions, potions, things that go buzz in the night, right?
right.
And yeah, so I just attended a few, and the woman who was doing the parties would always ask me, do you want to join my team? And I would say, absolutely freaking not. Like, there's no way I'm going to stand up in front of people and talk, let alone sell things like that. And one day something just changed for me. And I was like, I think I do want to do this. I want to build my confidence. I want to get outside my comfort zone. I need to do something different. So that was 2008. So I joined her team and I did that for 5 years. And I did tons of parties. I was almost always one or two on her team in terms of
Wow.
sales. I built a team. I became executive director, which is like the highest paid level you could do. And I learned during that phase of my life during that 5 years, I had one of my leaders was a life coach. And so I got really involved with her in terms of learning about mindset and being able to and growth, personal growth and law of attraction and all these things. And so she was my first life coach. I knew about coaching and I loved the idea, but it wasn't until I actually met her that I started to learn how to change my mindset and how to grow more personally, on that deeper level. And so that's really when I was like, I really want to be a coach. So that's what I decided. I went to coaching school. I got my certification. And then, it took a little while, a few years probably, to really land on the confidence niche. But I wanted to help other women, not necessarily that were shy. I do help women that are shy for sure, but women to feel that deep self-worth, that self-love, um, getting them to really believe in themselves and to go after their dreams and yeah, to just help transform them from the inside out. Like, it's really deep work that I do with women. So that's kind of my short story, but I've gained a ton of confidence over the years. I've been doing this since 2012. I got certified in 2012. So
Amazing. No,
yeah.
I love that. And I also think it's really great when you have people teaching what they've been through themselves,
Mhm.
because it means you can stand there and go, I've got real world experience of this. I know where you're coming from. And even
Yeah.
if it's not for shy people, I do think that you and I had like a very similar childhood because I
Yeah.
was painfully shy.
Uh-huh.
But I also do these little groups like you would, like my sister and I would go out like clear at the local pond and doing. It's very funny, isn't it? Worlds apart, but often the same.
Yeah.
But I think so with you, the turning point for your confidence then, would you say it was from taking on the hosting home party thing?
Yeah.
Was that what shifted you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I definitely gained a ton of confidence during that time. And I had, I did it for 5 years. So I had repeat customers. People
Mm-hmm.
would come to my parties when I was just getting started and then a couple years later or whatever. And they would say, wow, you've really grown a lot. We can see the difference in you, in your confidence and stuff. So I did get feedback a lot about that. And so that was awesome to hear. Like people are actually seeing
Yeah.
that. And I know this is a controversial term, but fake it till you make it. I feel like I did that
Yeah.
a lot, right? Like some people don't like that term, but I think that it's true. We sometimes we have to do that. We have to like get ourselves in that space of like, okay, I am confident. We try to really put ourselves out there in a certain way. And so there was a lot of faking it, right? Faking my confidence so that I
I
could actually grow, right?
I think that's fine in your context though, because I think with some things you kind of have to take action for it to become real. And I
Right.
think confidence is a really good example of that situation where you believe you're confident, so you kind of pretend to be confident, and then suddenly that is no longer pretending, it becomes real. I think it's different when you're going, oh no, like this is obviously very extreme and hopefully doesn't happen, but I've got a medical degree and I'm now a doctor, and actually you haven't, you've just read a book. That
Right.
that fake it till you make it is definitely dangerous. But
Wow.
and with like I do a lot of therapy work, and with one of the modalities I use is NLP, neuro linguistic programming. And there's a whole thing around embodying other people's confidence if you can't find it in yourself. And
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that if it gets you to the point where you find your own and can move forward. You're just borrowing it. You're just faking it until it comes through.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we do have to practice, and sometimes we're not where we want to be. So we have to just keep getting out of our comfort zones and working on that. It's always a work in progress.
I think confidence is also quite a broad church, isn't it? There's different kinds of confidence for different situations.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think the more, again, particularly with confidence, the more you do, the more confident you get in general. And it is, as you say, going out to that comfort zone. But was there any, after done this for 5 years and switched careers, was there any point where you found yourself regressing to that sort of small child when you, for a moment, you like lost the fact that you could do all these things? Did that ever happen?
Yeah. I mean, there's been times where I've had to take a lot of time off from my business for health reasons. And so that has regressed me a little bit, I think, when that's happened, because it's like, wait, what do I talk about again? It's like having to remember all the things that I know about myself and know to be true. So yeah, there's definitely been times where that confidence kind of regresses, or I go through something in my life that's really hard, like a life challenge, and that can take you out a little bit. But I talk about being unstoppable, and it's like I have this big vision and I have this big dream. And part of that is being unstoppable. And like you have this vision. And so you keep moving forward, even though you're struggling or you've had to take time off and things like that. So it's like overcoming those beliefs and then continuing to, it's kind of like a rebuilding phase, right? After you've lost that confidence. And it happens, people go through divorces, people have things happen to them in their life, and they lose that confidence that they once had. And so it's not that it's not in there. It is, but it's like we have to remember who we are, and we have to remember that there's that confidence.
I think remembering is the right term. I go back to, I know as a child, again, I was quite shy, but I think there's a point where I wasn't, like in my very early years where I didn't know any different. And I do think there's something around remembering that at one point we were all these carefree, completely innocent, naive children running around, like in my case, naked on the beach, not knowing anything wrong with it.
Right.
And remembering, even now in my 40s, I think I've gone through this cycle of remembering who I am again with my most recent career change when I left corporate. Each time I felt like I'm getting a bit closer to who I am. And it's remembering, as you say, with women. Do you find that the people you work with are similar to you from the point of view of there is this thing with women? I'm not saying that men don't do it, but this drive to be perfect, to never stop, to keep going. And sometimes I say to my husband, I don't have the choice to stop because we get judged for stopping, or we get judged for everything, right?
Yeah. we can't win, really.
No, whatever it is, we're wrong.
Yeah.
But do you see that coming out a lot with the work you're doing with women in terms of we've driven ourselves to a point where, like you say, we've just forgotten that this confidence. Is there a lot of that you see?
Yeah, I think so. We do forget, and we tend to hold back, stop ourselves, judge ourselves. We get judged. I think we judge ourselves the harshest, right? We're our own worst enemies and critics most of the time. And in terms of perfectionism, I mean, I'm a recovering perfectionist. I'm a Virgo, so it's like ingrained in my being. But I've noticed that the more confident I get, the less I care about the perfection. Like, okay, get that website out there. Like, yeah, there's things about the formatting that I don't like, but it needs to get out. So go, done is better than perfect, as one of my coaches always says.
Mm-hmm.
So it's remembering that too. And like, there is no perfection. I always say there is no perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. And human beings certainly are not perfect. And so we need to just get it done, because the more we worry about our perfection, the less we can help people, right? The longer it's going to take to actually be able to help someone. So the more that we can say, you know what, there is no perfect. I am imperfectly perfect, right? Just do it, get it out there, spread your message.
Don't think, just do. One of my friends used to say to me. Not sure that was entirely right. That was when I was in the army, in the context of like doing high stuff. So like, don't think about it, just do it. But
Yeah.
really, the moment you think, you allow fear and doubt and that confidence to slip away. So I do think you're definitely right. Get it done. You can refine it as you go along, but also that idea of perfection, it will change, won't it? As you grow, what you think is good enough will change as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the transformational side of things, what sort of transformation are you looking at with your clients?
Like I said earlier, like about the self-worth and the self-love and the believing in themselves. So I've seen so many women go through this transformation where they're like, they won't speak up. They won't. I had one client, she came to my retreat a few years ago and then worked with me for the rest of the year in a group program. And she was so afraid of being seen and heard that she would not put herself out there. I mean, she had a business she's a CPA, but she would not, she wanted to do all these things. She wanted to speak. She wanted to be a coach. She wanted to, coach around business and all these different things. But she was so terrified of even speaking up at all, let alone being on video or running a class or anything like that, that she kept holding herself back. And so the retreat was really the start of this huge awakening for her. She even at the retreat, she realized this, like she realized, oh my God, I'm holding myself back so much. And it was because of her family of origin. There was a lot of abuse and things like that. And so she had to hide. And so she brought this into her adulthood, and she's, in her 60s at this point, and she's like still hiding. But she realized this, and she had a lot of breakthroughs at the retreat. And then literally the day after the retreat, she got a call for a podcast or an interview or something like that. And she said yes. And instead of being terrified, she was excited, So it was like this huge shift for her just that weekend. And then she went on to become a coach, and she became, she started coaching people around their businesses and expanding and doing interviews. And then she wrote chapters in a book, and then she started her own book. And like, it just was like this ripple effect of this huge shift and change for her that started because she started to see, I can be seen. I am worthy of having these things, So there was this huge shift of self-worth, of letting go of the fear of being seen and heard, which is a huge one for a lot of women too. It's like, what if I'm seen and people don't like me? Or what if I speak up and I say something stupid, or I sound, like I'm stupid, or whatever it is? Like, we have all these thoughts in our heads, and then it holds us back. So these transformations, it's like helping them to see that they have value, helping them to see that they're brilliant, helping them to see that they have so much value to bring to the world and their clients. And, some of them aren't business owners. I've had women come to me who are lawyers or nurses, or going into admin and nursing and things like that, where they come to me and they're like, they have that, I always forget the word, where where they think they're going to get fired, right, at any moment.
Okay. Paranoia?
What's the word? It's
No.
I always
Premonition.
forget.
There's like a feeling, isn't it? I think I know what you mean. I just can't think of the words
Imposter
either.
syndrome.
There we go.
It
Yeah.
always goes out of my brain, that word, for some reason, or that term. So they come to me and they're like, I just got hired for this job, or I just transitioned into this new career. And like, I had one, she's a brand new lawyer, and she's like, I'm constantly afraid of being fired. I've gotten 3 raises in 4 months, but they're going to fire me at any moment. And I'm like, hold on. Like, you've gotten 3 raises in 4 months. Like, obviously you're
This
doing
isn't.
something right, right? So it's that digging into what's the core, what is at the core
Mm.
here, why do you have this belief, right? So for this person in particular, through talking with me, she realized she had, through her childhood, her mom was into drugs and alcohol and things, and so she would often leave her with strangers. Her mom didn't even really know these people a lot of times, and she would leave her. And so at one point, I think she was about 7, her mom had left her with this family, and they were the first family who was actually like wanted her there, who was super loving and
Oh.
kind. They were going to adopt her. And then her mom came back and took her and moved to the other side of the country. And so that was like the rug was ripped right out from under her,
Mm-hmm.
right, as a child. And so we were talking, and she says, it's like every time things get good in my life, here I have this, she was in her 30s and she just had gone to law school and become a lawyer. And she had all these fears about being fired. Things were going to go away so quickly. And just as soon as things got good, and it was like this pattern for her that as soon as something got good in her life, she was afraid that the rug was going to be ripped out from under her. And so I was like, do you see a connection here between this childhood experience of finally having love and care in your life, and then the rug being ripped out from under you, and then this pattern for you? And she said, oh my God, yes, like how she's been to therapy for years, she's had multiple therapists, all these things, and nobody's ever asked her
Made the
that,
connection. Yeah.
So it was just this huge breakthrough for her to realize, like, this is a belief because of something that happened in my childhood, and this isn't really true in current life, right? So we tend to carry around these beliefs about ourselves or about life or about other people based on our childhoods or things that have happened years and years and years ago, and they're not even true anymore. Right. So I help them to see these things so that they can have these breakthroughs and actually change their beliefs and change their thoughts and create something different for their lives.
That's brilliant. And I love both examples are very different in age. It sounds like one's sort of 20s, 30s and this lady in the 60s, and I'm sure you got more than that. But I think the point is, like, transformation can happen at any point in your life. And I do feel a sadness for people who don't realize this till later in their lives. The lady, I'm 60 actually, I don't think is that old these days. Like, you've got another 20, 30, 40 years when you're 60 now,
Right.
and that's
Yeah.
great. But once upon a time, that could have been it for another 10 years. So it's understanding how coaching can help. And I like the fact you said you don't really do therapy. You're definitely doing therapy with that lady with the childhood stuff.
Right.
but that's important from the part of the coaching process. And I'm guessing with your background in psychology and all the training you've done, it's not formal therapy, but actually it is still therapeutic. And it's important that people understand that that's
Right.
a brilliant thing
It's
you can
very
do too.
therapeutic. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
well done. I mean,
Yeah.
so you have your coaching, your transformation. You also have this Empowering Women Summit as well, which you do quite regularly. What's that about, and how did you get into that?
Yeah, it's called the Empowered Woman Speaker Series. And it's all about, we do it every month, and it's on Zoom, and there's myself and then 3 other speakers, and we speak on all things empowerment for women, right? So I've had people come on and talk about neurodivergence, ADHD. I've had people talk about, like, this month, it's actually happening on Galentine's Day. And so we're actually doing a Galentine special. So everyone's speaking about something around self-love, right? How to love your neurodivergent brain, how to love yourself for more confidence, things like that. So we don't always have a theme, but it's always around empowerment, some kind of confidence, helping women to love themselves on a deeper level, more self-worth, things like that. And how it came about, I was just wanting to get out there more. And my coach had suggested, he said, wait, how about maybe like a speaker series or something? Then you can have other people on there too. So you're also having your expertise, sharing your expertise, but you're having other people on there too to share their expertise. And so there's a lot more value, right? Because there's perspectives from 3 other people on the call each time. So it's really fun. It's empowering. Everyone loves it. So yeah, that's been going for a few months now, and it's been really awesome.
Brilliant. Have you had a favorite topic so far?
I really liked when a friend of mine, she came and spoke about ADHD. That was really interesting. I have ADHD too, and so I'm still learning a lot about it. And so it was fun to hear her talk about it, that really stood out. That one really stood out a lot.
Exciting. And I do
Yeah.
think like neurodiversity, particularly in women, as we've got to adults, that there's a crazy statistic, isn't there, about how many women have undiagnosed
Mm.
neurodiversity, including ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go on forever on my soapbox about women's medicine and women in health and how the research isn't there, the data isn't there because men felt our hormones would skew test results. So they
Mm.
just didn't check us out. So, it's great. Again, platforms like you can help to bridge some of that gap in at least in information for people when you're trying to find
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, the woman who's I'm talking about, she was diagnosed after menopause. So her,
Gosh.
speaking of hormones, like her ADHD all of a sudden really kicked up and she couldn't concentrate. Like there was all these things that started happening after she had menopause, went through menopause. And that's when she finally got diagnosed. She's obviously had it her entire life, but it really started shifting and getting worse when she went through menopause. So that's when she finally was diagnosed. So she talked about later in life diagnosis.
No, really important. And the poor woman, I mean, like, as if menopause isn't bad enough. Let's
I
just put your ADHD into overdrive. Thanks very
I
much.
know. Yeah. Yeah. But she's using her hyper focus with ADHD, which I just learned that was a thing. I've known I've had ADHD since high school, but never really learned that much about myself and the ADHD. And so, I learned that we can have hyper focus, which totally
Mm-hmm.
makes sense because when there's something that I'm really interested in, we just get hyper fixated on it. So even though we lack focus a lot of the times, right? We can have this like super hyper fixation where we just can't, it's like we're like a dog with a bone, it's like we can't let it go.
My
So
God.
that's been interesting.
My sister just found out a few years ago that she was ADHD and she'd been misdiagnosed with other things. And so she's like late 40s now. Um, and that hyper focus, it's such a superpower. So I was always very physically fit and in the army, and she was never those things. And then she decided in her 40s she was going to get fixed. And oh my God, the hyper focus came through. Like in 18 months, she stuck to like diet. She did the exercise. She did it the right way, the hard way, the long way, but
Yeah.
she did it. And I was like, I am not that disciplined, and I was in the army. Like I cannot like turn down all the food that you've turned down, and which is why she's now probably fitter than me. Good for her.
Yeah.
It's understanding that there's a superpower that we can tap into. Like every this yin and yang, there's balance, isn't there? And it's understanding how to use the good with the bad.
Yeah, definitely.
So you said you had a vision for your work, and I know obviously it's empowering women, but is there a bit like a really big vision? Is there a number? Is there a reach? Is it, do you have something you're aiming for?
Yeah. So I actually, yes, and things have shifted, right? So back in 2020 and before then, I I had this vision of being this really big name speaker, right? And having like the reach of millions and being able to just like really share my message out there to tons of people. And then I think in 2021, I just started realizing like that feels really stressful. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
stresses me out to have millions of eyes on me and all that kind of thing. And I'm an introvert. So to have that constant pressure felt like too much. And that's when I really like tapped into my body and tapped into like my feelings around things. And I realized that's not really what I want, not only for that reason, but because I also love the intimate setting and love being able to connect with people on a deep, intimate level.
Mm.
So I realized what I really want to do is have a tight knit, closer, intimate community and I love doing retreats. Like I did my first one in 2019, right before the pandemic hit. I was so excited for like at least 2 retreats in 2020 and then the world shut down. So,
Man.
and then, yeah, I know. And then I had health issues and had to take like 3 years off and stuff. It's been a long time coming to have more retreats, but I just last week did my first 2-day event that I haven't done in 5 years. So I was like, it was so exciting and so lovely to be able to be back in the room with women. But my vision now is to do multiple retreats a year that's like 10 women, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but have it be really close knit and intimate and have them not only within a couple hours of me, but to do them internationally. Like I
Mm-hmm.
would love to do a retreat in Bali, or, even
Nice.
Hawaii, which isn't international for me, but it's
It
somewhere
feels
exotic.
international. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know how you guys got that island, but well done.
I know, right? But I can envision like not only doing the retreat, but like having, um, hula dance lessons or whatever, and doing fun things like that. I can envision having us all on yoga mats on the beach and me walking back and forth and like doing a meditation with them, and listening to the waves crashing and things like that. So I can see us in international areas and tropical fun places. And I have a friend who, I think last year, she moved to Portugal and bought a retreat home center place, in Portugal.
Be
I go,
handy.
let's collaborate here,
Yeah.
So that's my newer vision, is to have, that intimate setting, that those intimate clients, because then I really get to reach them, right? I really get to reach them on a deep level and make sure they're good, and keep in touch with them, and really help them transform from, like on a very deep level.
Yeah, no, I love that. I
Yeah.
my business mentor, she actually lives in Mallorca in Spain,
Oh,
and so she
nice.
has her retreats out there, which is terrible, obviously, as you can imagine.
Oh, yes.
And
Awful.
it's just such a hard life. Oh, I have to go to Mallorca for a business retreat. Oh, and we did hiking and yoga, and because with her mentorship, it's not just business; it's also like mind and body, and so you
Hmm.
have to commit to doing activity as well as business to work with her, which is why I love her.
Yeah.
But there is something. I mean, maybe less so if you're from California. Though I know California isn't sunny like every day of the year, but a lot of them. But
Yeah.
there is something cathartic about doing stuff in the sun or by the sea. Like there's
Mhm.
definitely an awesomeness to it that makes it worth the treat.
Yeah. My retreat that I did do was in Tahoe in the fall. And Tahoe in the fall is beautiful. It's still kind of cold and crisp by that point, but we were in a neighborhood that had a private beach. And so we got a couple times to go down there and do activities at the beach, which
Nice.
was really fun. And it was cold. We had our jackets on and stuff, but the sun was on us and it was warming us. And we got to the beach in Tahoe. For those of you who don't know, it actually does have some waves to it. So it's sort of beachy, even though it's a lake. So,
It's good to
and
know.
there was sand, so it was nice. We got to take our blankets down there and hang out and talk and do activities on the beach. So that was fun and really beautiful.
My favorite thing at the moment because of the cold is my husband and I just went away for a week. We have these workaway weeks where we book somewhere not home to change the environment.
It's
And I
nice.
always look for a hot tub. And a hot tub in cold weather is just like the thing that will make me happy. I'll just sit.
Hmm.
I'm just like like a hot water mermaid wannabe, sitting in the hot tub all day long with the cold outside but the warmth inside. That
Yeah.
is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
With your retreats then, so how many are you going to do? How many? What's the plan now for how many retreats you're going to do each year, or have you figured that one out yet?
I would like to do 2 to start. And then as I get the ball rolling more, I would like to do more, maybe 3 or quarterly. Just kind of depends. It's a little tricky with the summertime sometimes because
Yeah.
people have kids out of school, or they're going back to school, or different things like that. So you kind of have to work around people's schedules. But I think once the ball really gets rolling and I have enough people in my pool, so to speak, there'll be enough people to, the people that don't have kids at home anymore can come in the summer or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
No,
So I would like to do at least three, two to
that's awesome.
three to two to
What
four.
what I what I do notice about everything you said though, so you've gone like, oh, I don't want the stress of this and the stress of that. I mean, let's be honest, running a retreat can also be stressful. So you,
Yeah.
you are choosing a certain amount of stress in your life, which I love because like,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that's the reality, isn't it? We can't avoid it forever.
Right. Especially as entrepreneurs, right? There's always
Yeah,
something that's stressful, but it's kind of choose your stress.
yeah. Choose your stress. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, is there any other big events coming up? So, you got the speaker event on Valentine's Day, which is this Friday. Goodness, doesn't time fly? So, we'll probably
It'll
won't
be
get it.
Valentine's Day, so it's on Thursday, the day before
Oh, Valentine's Day.
Valentine's.
Yep. Sorry. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, do you have the events on a set sort of day of the month? Because this will go out after the Valentine's one, the Galentine's one, I
Yeah.
should say.
So typically it's the first Thursday of the month. I moved it to this week for this month because of my event that was last weekend. It was too close together to be promoting two things at a
Seems fair.
time and have only a couple days in between. So we moved it to this week for this one, but it's usually the first Thursday. And I'm in California, so it's usually 1 to 2:30 Pacific time.
Nice.
But they're
And
always
so,
recorded too, so they can sign up. And whoever wants to sign up can sign up, and then they'll get the replay later. And I put them all on YouTube, so you can always go back and watch old ones too, and all that kind of thing.
so Angel,
Yeah.
if people want to find you, if they want to sign up to the events, how can they do that?
Yeah, so I'm the only Erin Summ on the planet. So
Congratulations. That's quite a
thank you.
statement.
I don't have my last name on here, but it's SUMM. So you can just look up Erin Summ. I'm erinsumm.com. I have a Facebook group as well, Confident Women Community with Erin Summ. You can look me up there. YouTube, Instagram, Erin Summ Confidence Coaching. So yeah, I'm all over the place.
Amazing. Thank you. It's been really
Yeah.
interesting talking with you. I look forward to seeing your retreats go well. I look forward to, if you come to Portugal, I may join you because it's just like a 2-hour flight for me.
I love
And I
that.
love Portugal. So keep me posted. But thank you ever so much for your time. It's been wonderful having you.
Thank you so much for having me.